Hey YouTube, this is Arceus13. So, the other day, I was thinking about how there have been so many important events that have happened on my birthday in history. But my sister, who on YouTube goes by Nooberella G, her birthday is on September 23rd, which, if I release this video on time, should be today. So, as a birthday present, I decided to take a look and see some of the historical events that happened on September 23rd. All of these events were found using onthisday.com. A link will be included in the description. Now, as a disclaimer, there were plenty of events that happened on September 23rd that neither I nor Nooberella would find interesting. So this is a best of list. I will also be providing some additional information over each event, if I can. And to start out, in 1642, Harvard College had its first commencement ceremony. And, yeah. I'm not sure why I found that interesting, actually. But in 1784, Benedict Arnold's plot to betray West Point was revealed. And anyone who knows any American who really knows the history of a revolution knows how infamous Benedict Arnold was. In 1806, Lewis and Clark returned to St. Louis after their journey to the Pacific. In 1846, Johann Galle and John Couch Adams find Neptune. Fun fact, Neptune was located using math. A man named Urbain Le Verrier, I think that's how it's pronounced, discovered a discrepancy in Uranus's orbit and calculated that another unknown planet was to blame. The position of Neptune was calculated using this discrepancy, and Johann Galle found it in his telescope the next night. Adams, working separately, calculated Neptune's position as well, and located it on the same night. And because they were working separately, but still found it, it's split between who found it, Le Verrier or Adams. But anyway, in 1862, Otto von Bismarck was appointed Prime Minister of Prussia. Now, Otto von Bismarck is one of my favorite historical figures. Without him, modern-day Germany would not exist. But I know that Nooberella would be much more interested in what happened on that same day in 1862. It was on that day that Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation was published in northern states. The Emancipation Proclamation, of course, being one of the turning points in the Civil War, because that pretty much made it the war about slavery and prevented European powers from getting involved. But 70 years later, in 1932, Saudi Arabia was formed. In 1938, Neville Chamberlain flew to Munich to talk with Hitler about taking control of parts of Czechoslovakia. It was Chamberlain's hope that these talks would prevent World War II. Yeah, there's no stopping that Nazi train. Speaking of which, sad thing to have happened on anyone's birthday, but an event that still needs to be shared. September 23rd, 1941, and the first gas murder experience in Auschwitz were conducted. Again, very sad event, but has I has to be said. But the following year, in 1942, the Soviets launched a counteroffensive against the Nazis at Stalingrad. 7 years later, in 1949, Harry Truman announced the evidence that the USSR had detonated the first nuclear device. And this is a very important moment in history because once the with if the Soviet Union now having a nuclear weapon, and as well as the United States, that meant that if a war broke out between them, it would be far more destructive than in any war previously. And in 1957, there occurred the Little Rock Crisis. Now, doing a brief bit of research on this, I want to make a separate video about this whole incident. But essentially, a crowd out of white protesters in Little Rock refused to allow 9 black children to integrate into the high school, and President President Eisenhower had to call it in troops to support them. And again, I think I may make a whole video about this and the whole struggle to integrate, so yeah. In 1962, ABC premiered their first color TV series, The Jetsons. Now, Nooberella and I are much too young to have seen that show, but if I remember correctly, our parents grew up with it, so. Now, I'm going to skip over the next important event, and I'll get back to the reason why, but in 1973, the largest known prime number, 2 to the power of 132,049 minus 1 is discovered. Now, this was the last event chronologically that I knew my sister would like, but she isn't as big a math geek as I am, so I didn't want to end the video on that. Instead, I will finish with the NYC premiere of Fiddler on the Roof in 1964. That is our father's favorite musical, and it is because of that musical that he still wants us to call him Papa. Well, that does it for today's video. I plan on doing another video for my birthday on November 9th because of the sheer number of historical events that I know happened on that day. Because, well, it's my birthday, I remember some of them, and there are some pretty big moments. But if you'd like this to become a more regular series, be sure to leave a comment down below. And if you want to know what happened on your birthday, be sure to check out onthisday.com. The link is down in the description. Happy birthday, sis. In 1938, In 1938, Neville Chamberlain flew to Munich to talk with Hitler about taking control of parts of Czechoslovakia. If the talk had been successful, in 1938, Neville. Bleh. Pneumo-ultramicroscopic silica volcaniosis.